What are you looking to take to the next level with the Phillies?
Taking the skill set that I have, continuing to grow on it, and actually, yes, like I was kind of looking around at a few different teams that I thought I might want to go to.
How was it for you with your dad being a player when you were a kid? How did that influence you?
I want to play baseball like him, and then in baseball, if you fail 3 out of 10 times, then you're like considered one of the best.
Bryce Harper's been pretty popular for giving tips to young players. You can hit hard. We saw Shohei Ohtani go 50-50 last year. How inspiring has that been?
I think the 50 stolen bases is attainable for me, but 50 home runs, that's insane. Like that's that's crazy. That's next level.
Favorite movie or TV show when you're on the road that you like to watch?
Um, I love I love Breaking Bad. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I probably rewatched that like 10 times. When I'm bored, I'll just turn it on. Ooh, that's another tough one on the spot.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, an absolute pleasure to be joined by Dylan Campbell today on Essentially Sports. Dylan, great to see you, man. It's been a busy off season for you so far. How's everything going? And I think first and foremost, I'd love to know how you fell in love with this beautiful sport of baseball, how you got into it. Um, how did you start on your journey?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure to do interviews and talk about the game that I love. But yeah, to get started, I was always drawn to baseball starting at a young age. My dad introduced it to me when I was probably just out of the womb, starting to get on my feet and walk and move around. I always wanted to have a bat in my hand and a baseball. So he was my coach growing up, and I kind of just stuck with it from there. I always loved it. I always kind of thought about it and wanted to go play in the street and in the backyard. And kind of from there, it took a more serious turn when we started to play travel ball and get into like middle school and high school and stuff like that. And then, yeah, now I'm kind of here where I am today.
How did your experience playing football help for you?
Oh, that was interesting because it was a pretty difficult choice for a little while, trying to decide whether I wanted to play football or baseball because usually how it went in the school year was football always came first. So that was kind of what I like started off the school year with. But I think that helped with like my baseball mentality because it's a contact sport, so it's a little bit different than baseball in terms of like the aggressiveness you need to bring. Like you still bring aggressiveness, but you can go out and like tackle somebody or like run somebody over, so it's a little bit different kind of feeling. But I think it helped a lot to kind of shape me into like a very hard-nosed like grinder baseball player that I am.
Is it true you're called the Bo Jackson of running backs?
Yeah, that's what some people say around the Houston area because I did play both sports. And I guess you could say I was pretty good at both of them, just like he was.
Was it a tough decision?
Yeah, it definitely was because I was like one of the top running backs in the state, but also one of the top baseball players in the state. And I think what made the decision a little bit easier for me was that I kind of got recruited a little bit earlier for baseball, and so that kind of pulled some football attention away from me a little bit, and it kind of just made the baseball pathway easier because I had some interest from Texas and big schools like that, and then football kind of not really that big of schools, so it made that decision pretty easy for me.
How was it for you with your dad being a player when you were a kid? How did that influence you?
Yeah, that influenced me a lot because I didn't really know much about the game or anything about it really, and all I know was that he played and he played professionally, so that kind of like influenced me a little bit to be like, oh, I want to be like my dad and I want to play baseball like him. And then he was also my coach growing up, so that kind of those two things right there just made it that much easier and more fun to just continue to play.
How would you describe the magic of the sport? What is it about it that gets you?
I think it's just like the challenge of it, honestly, because in baseball, if you fail 3 out of 10 times, then you're like considered one of the best. So I think it's just like that constant challenge of trying to find the best swing that works for you because at the end of the day, no matter who you are, nobody has a perfect swing because if they did, I mean, they would be hitting 1,000 and nobody does that. So I think just the constant like grind, the constant just trying to work and find what works best for you against other competition is what I like the best about it.
Is it
And
the
the fact
tough? Is it the toughest sport in the world?
I think it is, yeah. Because I mean, I like to watch a lot of sports and I played all kinds of stuff growing up. Nothing's harder than baseball because I mean, you have so many days. One day you could be 4 for 4, the next day you could be 0 for 4 and questioning everything. But um, I don't know. Yeah, I think baseball. I don't know. What do you think?
I've discussed this. I mean, I've worked in sports for over 10 years, and we believe that, in the conversation, like hitting a ball, moving, flying, spinning at the right time, and doing it consistently has got to be up there with one of the hardest things in all of sport, right?
Yeah, I agree. You have very little reaction time. The ball is coming in at 90 to 95 to sometimes even 100 miles per hour. And then they're throwing like off speed pitches and all kinds of stuff. So it's just like very hard to get the timing down of it. And yeah, no, it's it's tough.
I'm pretty
But it's fun.
average driver. I mean, the Formula One guys, I mean that looks like it takes some pretty strong mentality, but yeah,
Absolutely.
baseball's got to be up there.
Golf,
When you were a kid, who was
golf
the
too,
gold standard? Who was the man that everybody looked at?
in terms of baseball.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. For me, growing up, I loved watching the Astros. Now they weren't always the best. They were pretty bad during my childhood, but throughout like late middle school and early high school, that was kind of when they went on that little dynasty run. So I was a shortstop in high school and an outfielder. So I like watching like Altuve, Bregman, Carlos Correa, George Springer. Like being from Houston, I just love watching those guys.
Can I ask you about the Dylan Campbell Foundation? What's the intention with that? What is it aiming to do? Could you give us a brief about it?
Yeah, sure. So it's kind of just a little thing that I wanted to get started, kind of at the beginning of my professional career, because as you look at many athletes across all sports, they are involved in some type of nonprofit charity work, foundation, and that's kind of something that's been a part of my life throughout middle school and high school. And so I kind of thought that it would be a good idea to start a nonprofit, help raise money to like get underprivileged kids into baseball and to like continue them through baseball because at a young age getting started, it might be pretty hard to stay in the game because baseball is expensive. You have to buy all types of equipment. You have to travel to all these different games and stuff. And I think that's what it takes to get to the next level. But some people might have the talent, but they might have not have the resources to get off the ground and get going. So we're kind of just working to maybe locate some little leagues around the city of Houston or anywhere around the area and kind of just try to help out however we can to get these kids to that next level.
That's amazing, man. That's super cool to hear. You're a Philly now.
I am.
Big move for you, big change in your life. What excites you most about this move?
Ooh, that's a great question because at first I really didn't know what to think of it. I was like, dang, like they just traded me, like they didn't even really want me. But then kind of as I sat on it and thought about it a little more, I was like, man, this is like a really good opportunity for me. Like they obviously wanted me and they wanted me to be in their organization and see how I can help them win either now or in the future, whenever that may be. So I think it's a really exciting move. The transition has been great so far. I've met a lot of great people throughout the Phillies organization for my short time that I've been here. So I'm just very excited to kind of get to work with them and new organization. But at the end of the day, it's the same goal that I was trying to do with the Dodgers. I'm trying to be impactful on whatever team I am and try to win at every level and eventually make it up to the top.
As a young player, how do you adjust to such a sudden shift in environment? Is this just part of the game? Have you gotten used to this kind of thing, or does it take some getting used to?
I think it definitely takes some getting used to because I feel like all these organizations that are in the major leagues operate a little bit differently. And so as a young player, I think you just kind of gotta go about it slowly, get around the right people, ask a lot of questions just to make sure that you can get used to how the system works from day one and not be lost moving around, like missing where you're supposed to be and kind of stuff like that. So I found some good guys to kind of help me lead or to help lead me along the way as I get more used to how the organization does things.
Bryce Harper's been pretty popular for giving tips to young players. Have you encountered him? What would you ask him?
No, I've never encountered Bryce Harper before, but if I had the chance to talk to him, I would definitely talk to him something about hitting. I mean, he's been an amazing hitter his whole career. Um, he can hit for power like nobody else. So I probably would talk to him about some tips about driving the ball and how he hits for such good power.
Your game's evolving all the time. What are you looking to take to the next level with the Phillies?
I think just continuing to bring my versatility to the game. I think I can impact the game in many ways, and I think I've kind of developed that throughout high school and college, and I think that's like a rare skill set that not a lot of people can say that they have. So I think just taking the skill set that I have, continuing to grow on it, and just continue to work and just move up the organization smoothly and just take it one day at a time. I feel like I'll be right where I need to be.
I feel like every organization has an identity or a feeling or things people associate with them. What do you feel about the Phillies? What do you like about this organization?
Yeah, I mean they're always in contention to win the World Series, and I feel like it's been like that for a while. Obviously, coming from the Dodgers, they are also a winning organization, and being with the Phillies these short couple of weeks that I've been with them, like it feels the exact same. Like they have the same goal. They're putting everything they can into us to make sure that we're prepared for the next level, to help the major league team win whenever that chance may be. The coaching staff and like where it goes down from coaching to nutrition to mental health, mental strength, like all that type of stuff. Like they're very serious about everything.
You were fourth pick in the 2023 draft. What was that like? What was the feeling when the phone rang with the Dodgers, who you had your eye on?
Actually, yes. Like I was kind of looking around at a few different teams that I thought I might want to go to, and the Dodgers was definitely one of them. I was also pretty fond of the Astros and Rangers because they were kind of close to home. Um, but that was before I really had an understanding about how the minor league teams are and like where they are located. And the Dodgers places are not close to home. But I kind of looked at it from like a more broad scale of just like the major leagues, like, oh, California, that would be so cool. And playing close to home in Texas, maybe the Padres. But yeah, it was really cool to get that phone call from them because that was one of the teams that I thought would have been like very cool to get drafted to. Because you're like, I mean, I'm sure you see you're in Malaysia and I'm sure there's people with like LA hats on walking around. Like that's one of the bigger brands in the sport for sure, in all of sports.
100%. So how do you deal with the expectation, the pressure? People from your high school must, when they see you, be like, damn, you're making it. How does that feel?
It feels great. It feels great. I wouldn't say it's really like a pressure because I feel like everything that I've kind of done throughout my life has got me to this point. So it's at this point, it's just like continue doing what you've been doing for the past like 5 to 10 years and you'll be okay. But it's definitely cool to get recognition and talk to friends and like to get that feeling that, oh, like they're still following me because I still definitely check up on all of my high school friends and college friends and see what they're doing. So yeah, it's not really any added pressure, but just like it's good motivation to see that people are watching me and following along my journey. So hopefully I can make them proud, so to speak.
Dodgers scouting network and player development is pretty renowned. How was the overall experience?
Oh, it was great. I mean, I didn't have I mean I only had one full season with him, so I didn't really I got a good taste of it, but not I don't think I got the full experience yet. We were kind of getting into some good things before before I got traded. So um I mean I have nothing bad to say about the Dodgers. They are I mean one of the more winning organizations, like coaching staff, like everybody is they know what they're doing over there.
They got some superstars. Any cool conversations or experience with any of the guys?
I got to work out with Mookie Betts. He in the off season, over this off season, it was a great session. We did a lot of defense, talked about some hitting stuff. Like overall, it was just a great time. I know I mentioned some of those Astros players earlier, but he was also one of the players that I kind of looked up to because I kind of feel like our games are a little similar. He came up as an infielder, then moved out to the outfield, and then moved back into the infield. He can kind of like I said, impact the game in many ways. So he's definitely like a player that I like to look at and watch.
Yeah, you transitioned to a center fielder from shortstop, right? Why
Yeah.
the change for you?
At the time, I felt like it was just the most availability, and that was my freshman year of college. Our infield was pretty stacked, and it was kind of taking me a little bit to adjust to like the speed of the college game on the infield, which is fine. Like as a freshman playing at University of Texas, it's not easy to kind of jump into that from high school. So I kind of just thought that I would be able to get some more playing time in the outfield. The coaches and I talked about it, and I eventually moved out there to get some more playing time and play a little bit. And it ended up being good. I got pretty good at it, and I got to be in the lineup consistently, which was good. But we still made sure to keep like all of the infield traits as well.
You can hit hard. We saw Shohei Ohtani go 50-50 last year. How inspiring has that been? Like, what kind of standard has he been setting for the minor league clubhouse and a lot of the players talking about it?
Oh yeah, I mean that's something that's never been done before, and like I think the 50 stolen bases is attainable for me, but 50 home runs, that's insane. Like that's that's crazy. That's next level. I'm sure that's what every minor league player wants to get on that level. Um, but I think like at the end of the day, you just kind of gotta take that for what it's worth, and just be yourself at the end of the day, know what type of player you are, and how can you commit to what you're trying to do and like help your team that way. Like it would be stupid for me to go out there and try to be Shohei Ohtani because I'm definitely not going to be. So just being myself and trying to help the team win is any way I can is what I'm trying to do.
If there was one player you could have batting practice with in the sport, who would it be?
That's a great question. I guess right now being on the Phillies, one of those guys like Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Bryson Stott. I like Bryson Stott swing a lot. Um, I've kind of watched some of his videos coming up through college. Actually helped me a little bit. So yeah, probably one of them three for sure.
How do you feel about the MLB overall? Do you think there's enough opportunities, enough resources for young players? Do you think the system works?
Yeah, definitely. I have had a great experience in the minor leagues so far, and I think at the end of the day, it's just like you get out of it whatever you put in. So, I mean, if you show up to work every day with the right attitude, like everything is going to fall in place for you, but you can't show up to the ballpark not ready to go and expect everything to be kind of given to you and the coaches to make the plans for you and stuff because at the end of the day, you have to have the success on the field and you have to go perform. So, I think it's just kind of how you go about it makes the biggest difference for you.
Have you got a list of goals? Have you got a bucket list in the sport?
Uh, Not exactly. I think for me, just like I said, just being who I am and sticking throughout that the whole season would be probably my biggest goal, and also staying healthy. That's another big goal because being healthy is, I mean, organizations take that into account when picking a player is if do they have injury history or do they stay healthy pretty much most of the time. So I think those things for me are going to be big going into this year. Just knowing who I am as a player and not getting away from that, I think I'll have the season that I want to. But I think last season I got into a little bit of trouble with trying to do some things that I necessarily weren't who I was, and it kind of took something off of my game, if that makes sense.
We'll wrap up with a little rapid fire. So, what's the best advice you ever received from a coach?
Ooh. I'll say it's from one of the players that I played with, but he said you're not going to get better. You're not going to get better only during the time that you're supposed to be there, if that makes sense. Like mandatory practice, mandatory workouts. The only time you really are going to get better is outside of those times when you're hitting on your own or hitting with your friends after practice, before practice, like at night, stuff like that.
Good advice. What
Yeah.
stadium do you dream about playing in?
I think the Philly Stadium would be amazing to play in. I've seen some of the atmosphere there for the playoffs and big moments and stuff like that, and you can tell the fans there really care about the sport. So I think that would be like a great place to get into and a great environment.
Favorite hobby outside of baseball?
Um, I like playing some video games. I live in Austin, so I like to go vintage shopping out there. Um, yeah, those two things are pretty much it for me.
Is there one memory in life that sticks out for you that you'd want to share?
In baseball or anything.
Anything that really sticks out for you that you'll never forget?
Mm, I have
Kind of a
some good
tough one on a
memories.
rapid
Yeah,
fire.
no, that's a very tough one on a rapid fire. You're right. The stuff that comes to mind is just getting drafted, being with all my family in that room, seeing like the just pure joy on everybody's face that they were there to like love and celebrate me, and they have loved and celebrated me throughout my whole career. That was pretty special to see. Um, some college memories. We had some big postseason games that I was a part of. I got some big moments as part of those games, so probably some of those too as well.
Beautiful. That is beautiful. Like what a moment. Love that.
Yeah.
Favorite movie or TV show when you're on the road that you like to watch?
Ooh, that's another tough one on the spot. That's like, I'm not gonna lie, that's probably the hardest question anybody could ever ask me because there's so many movies, there's so many shows, there's a lot of good ones. I love Breaking Bad. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I've probably rewatched that like 10 times. When I'm bored, I'll just turn it on. Um, I'll stick with that, Breaking Bad.
What did you do with your first ever paycheck?
Oh, I didn't have like a big purchase, honestly. Like I kind of just I got some like accessories for my car, but like nothing crazy expensive like that. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it was nothing really expensive. I went to I went to New Orleans for New Year's. That was kind of like a big trip. That was the following my first like half season or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Do you have any fears? What scares you the most?
Oh, I was just thinking about this the other day. Um, I I don't like like I don't know if you ever seen like videos of the ocean with like a thunderstorm and like the high waves and being on a ship. That is like one of my fears. Um, that's pretty much it, honestly. Cockroaches, wasps, I hate those things.
Yeah, I was just getting something out of the attic and like I had a cockroach just
Oh
plummet
no.
from the sky yesterday. So yeah,
No, I
love those.
literally I
Um,
hate like that crunching noise when you kill
yeah.
them. I hate
Um, and what's the story behind the picture of your with you and your two friends doing this at the ball game?
at the bowl game.
Yeah, you're in a
Which
stadium with orange t-shirts, Texas t-shirts.
Oh yeah, that's our college sign. So that, like I was saying, the Dodgers is one of the most recognized signs. I think the Texas Longhorns is probably the most recognized sign around the world. So that's like the hand signal that we use for the college because the mascot is a Longhorn. So these represent the two horns of the Longhorn. Mascot's name is Bevo, and it's a Longhorn that they bring to every football game.
Represent. It's been an absolute pleasure, Dylan. Wishing you all the best for your career. Going to be watching closely. So many exciting things ahead of you. Maximum respect. It's been a real pleasure speaking to you as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate the time.
You're the man. Thanks so much for facilitating, Jesse. Appreciate it.